This is Danny Trejo, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com. Keep listening, or I'll take your head.
All right, we're back here at Without Your Head Horror Radio. I'm Nasty Neil, along with my right-hand man.
Jeepers, John, how about that? Terrible Troy, he's on an errand right now.
All right, and joining us right off the bat here, we got the director of the Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, Julien Nitzberg. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you guys?
Not too bad, not too bad.
So, wait, John went off to snort Noxie? Is that what happened?
No, I'm straight edge, my man. Straight edge.
Oh.
Never touched
I heard some code, like, let the cat out, which I figured was like ketamine or something. So.
Chasing the dragon, letting the cat out.
I gotta go chase the dragon, guys.
It's our pre-show ritual.
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask something about that. So have you ever tried gasoline yourself?
I have not. I feel like I'm kind of a method director, but I've pumped gasoline and smelled it, and it just doesn't seem like a good idea to huff it. So I have not huffed gas. I've never huffed glue either. So have you guys done it?
I have not. I when they're explaining it, some of the guys in the movies, and they're like, your ears are buzzing, and like you get like this headache, and I thought, well, that doesn't sound like a very good time.
Oh, when Cousin Les is explaining it in the bonus feature?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, you want to get on your motorcycle. That's the thing you forgot. So.
Yeah.
So, because it makes riding your motorcycle much better. So. No, everyone's moved off of gasoline right now. They're mostly on pills. So I did have to do a pill with one white family member who wouldn't let me turn on the camera unless I snorted a pill with him. So, but otherwise, I only did a couple of lines of coke with another family member who offered it, and I can't say who because it could get them in trouble. But
yeah,
probably. But it was one of the most famous one of the whites, and I felt it was like Willie Nelson offering you a joint, even if you don't like smoking pot.
Yeah,
you should do it. So.
Yeah, it's hard to turn that down.
Yeah.
I know on one of the specials on the DVD, I think it was the producer. He says he was worried that you were going to get shot or you were going to impregnate one of the whites, and
he wasn't worried. He wanted me to get shot. That was Jeff Tremaine, the producer, who's the director of Jackass movies. That was his goal. He told me that he wanted me to get shot or impregnate one of the women, and would be disappointed if I didn't do both of those things. And he said that it could be a leg wound. It didn't have to be a serious wound, but he wanted something. So, and I did get in cars with like super drunk people where I could have definitely been killed, so drunk and on other substances. So my cowardly crew would not get into cars with them, so I'd be shooting it myself. So,
were there any times you really were worried, like something might happen to you?
Oh yeah. I'd done an earlier documentary with a friend. The way I met the whites was I'd done a documentary with a guy named Hassel Atkins, who's a Boone County singer, and he actually threatened to kill me. And it was while we were in the car on the way back from a gig in Kentucky. And he's a guy who's been in tons of shootouts. And so I kind of went in expecting to get shot or have at least something insane, violent happen to me. And I was pretty surprised that it stayed as mellow. I mean, we got death threats, but they usually were on the phone, so we could usually handle them before we saw the person.
Yeah. Well, why were people so mad at you for doing the documentary? Was it just they didn't like the whites?
Well, no. It was some of them were whites, and some of them were. There's Bertie Mae White, who's a matriarch of the family. Before she was married to D. Ray White, she actually had a first husband who died really young, and so she had 3 kids before she started making white kids. She had gullet kids, and the gullets and the whites don't get along too well, and they're mad that everyone pays attention to the white family part of the family and not to them, and so we got a lot of death threats from that side of the family, who were like all the half sisters. We had Sue Bob's boyfriend called the police and like claimed that I'd kidnapped Sue Bob. It's just different members, and then some Minnesota whites before they met us, and then later just for fun would call and threaten, because when people are bored, they do a lot of drinking, drugs, and then decide to threaten people's lives. And sometimes, like, we get these threats, and I'd call back a few days later. I'd be like, that was not cool the way you threatened me. And they'd be like, what are you talking about? I don't remember threatening you. And I'd be like, oh, okay. What pills were you on when you called and threatened me that time? So.
No, unlike some people, because, they're big fans of the Dancing Outlaw. Actually, I had never heard of that before. I saw the Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, so then I seeked it out and watched it. But how would Jesco change from the original movie to when you found him again?
Jesco is still super cool. He's super poetic. I love Jesco. He's just doesn't always make as much sense as he should at certain points. Back then he made sense, I'd say 95% of the time, and now he makes sense like 65% of the time. But when he makes sense, he makes a lot of sense. But sometimes he just goes and tells you the craziest stories, and you're not sure what they're about or what he's talking about. But they're but they're good. They're good stories, but you don't know what they're about. So.
Along those lines, I want to ask you about a movie I saw recently. I don't know if you want to talk about, but did you see White Lightning?
Yeah.
Well, what did you think of that, and what was like the whole ending about?
I am puzzled by that movie. I don't know. I mean, I watched that movie, and if anyone listening doesn't know what it's these guys from Vice magazine went and met Jesco and decided to make a movie about Jesco's life. But then they kind of decided that it should also have elements of like a Saw movie or something. And so suddenly, like halfway through the movie, Jesco starts murdering all these people. And you're just like, what? And then they also couldn't get financing in America, so they got an English actor to play Jesco and an English director, and they shot it somewhere like Serbia or somewhere weird.
I think Croatia.
Wow.
Croatia, so like there's Croatian people talking to Jesco. What?
I have to see this movie now after you guys are talking.
It's out there.
It's really, I can't imagine if I was Jesco seeing a movie with my own name on it. Like, not like, they could have taken Jesco's legend and then changed the names and made something based on it. But instead, it's his actual name, and a man who's never murdered anyone is murdering all these people and doing all these things that he never did in his life. And it's just like, I don't know, it's peculiar. I don't get it. And then, the southern accents are all done by English people, so they're all a little bit foghorn leghorn going on there. So he's like, dude, declare y'all Jesco's here, And Ben, who's my editor and who's a Kentucky boy, was just like he just was really in shock at the accents because, he was just like, I mean, to me it wasn't as bad, but to him it was just like grating, glass against, his frontal lobe or something, because he was just like, what accent is that motherfucker doing there? So.
And I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but he even starts eating himself at the end of the movie.
All right,
I don't think
this movie then.
I don't think you could even. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I swear, I talked to the Vice guys early on because we wanted to shoot a little bit. We were shooting, just starting when they were finishing, and I wanted to get footage of him shooting something because I just love the idea of some English Shakespearean actor being like, well, hello, yes, I've been hired to play the mountain dancer Jesco in your movie. Yes, I love the Appalachian culture of West Virginia. Just like the bizarreness of that. So, I think what I've got to do is now get Jesco and Mamie together and do a movie about Shakespearean actors in London with them doing fake English accents. Yeah,
pretty good stuff.
What did they think of the movie after they saw it? After they saw your movie?
They loved it. I mean, it was hard for Mamie to watch the first time because obviously there was some heart-wrenching emotional family stuff going on that isn't, it wasn't easy for her to live through the first time, much less watching it again. But she and Jesco fucking loved it, and we brought them out to L.A. And I was too nervous to sit next to them during the movie. But Mamie had seen it one time before, but Ben, my editor, was just sat there and said Mamie was laughing way louder than anyone else in the audience. Whenever it wasn't her own shit, but whenever any other family members were doing something dumb, she loved it. So the Whites get, the Whites are smart people. They understand who they are, and they get their when they're funny, and they get when they're they're self-aware. So.
Mm-hmm. I love Jesco's tattoo he gets on his back with the with Elvis and Manson, and I don't know. To me, most of the movie he always seems pretty mellow, but he says he can be crazy like Manson. Did you witness him being really crazy?
I've never seen the Psycho Manson part of Jesco, but basically when Jesco is in his Manson devil mood, we would hear immediately about it from all the family members, and he would just refuse to come out of his house. So he would threaten his family members, he would threaten different people, but with us, he would. Storm, the film's producer, Storm Taylor, has gotten some of that from Jesco, but I've never gotten it, and most of the time, if we knew he was in that mood, there wasn't a way to get him on film being in that mood. So he just would pretty much refuse to deal with us. And then when he would switch back to the good Jesco, we'd get to hang out with him again. So
yeah.
Yep. I think it all depends on who he's around because people fuck with him, and there's all sorts of, shit that's, complicated. So, if you treat Jesco good in general, he responds well. So, and he's cool. Mm-hmm. So, that's kind of the deal.
Getting close to the family, come you're friends with them. Was it ever hard to also be a good movie maker, where something maybe you didn't want to film because you were friends with them, but at the same time you wanted to make sure the movie was well made?
It was always tough. It was always insane, mental and emotional decisions. We kind of said we're going to film everything, and then we told the family before we started filming. We said, listen, we'll turn off the cameras anytime you want, but anything you let us film could end up in the movie. And so there'd be shit that was fucked up, and we'd film, and some of it we didn't put in because it just wasn't relative. A lot of it ended up in the movie because we wanted to show, both how great they were and how much we loved them, but also how much we hated their self-destructiveness and how they do the fucked up shit that is bad for their lives. And so, we'd be filming stuff, and it would end up in there because we're trying to tell an honest story about this amazing family. So.
Mm-hmm. You also said, I remember, I think it was on the commentary, you said 80% of the people he screened it for loved it, and 20% really hated it. Was that hard? A percentage hating it, or was that better than be just who cares?
I
mean, I used to be in punk rock bands, so I was used to having people hate us, and we were I was back in the early '80s this hardcore punk band called Artless, which it was when Reagan was president, and we decided that we were going to be the pro-Reagan punk rock band, and So we had all these pro-Republican songs just for fun, but a lot of people totally took it seriously and got mad, and I got pulled off the stage and the shit kicked out of me by skinheads. So I like having people hate me and pissing people off, but this response we got in Memphis, Tennessee, I have to say, fucking bugged me out. Like, I was not expecting people to start screaming at me at this one theater. I mean, we had people being pretty rude in New York at Tribeca, but in Memphis we had these people and they had no sense of humor. Like, one of the things, they started just yelling at one point, like, 80% of the audience loved it and this 20% hated one of them. People goes, he just starts screaming. He goes, I just want to tell you one thing. They're not wonderful. There was nothing wonderful about the movie. Why did you call them wild and wonderful? They're not. And I was like, and I don't know what he thought. Like, maybe he saw like the poster or something. It was like, wow, wonderful. It's like the Wonderful Wizard of Oz or something. It'll be a really wonderful, sweet family. And he was fucking, I mean, screaming. We're like, and these people were screaming at other audience members who were trying to defend the movie too. So it was definitely heavy and weird. So
yeah. Well, was it good just to get some type of reaction, though, even if it was negative?
Oh, in retrospect, I'm totally cool with it, and I have to say, I every once in a while read a really, like other stuff I've done, like when I read a bad review of my stuff, I enjoy it more than a good review sometimes. Like, I just start laughing, especially if they really, really hate it. That makes me so happy. There was some guy in Bluefield, West Virginia, who just wrote the most asinine, like, attack on the movie, and and it was all like, and his big, he was like, they're showing West Virginia in a bad light, and I'm like, we're not showing West Virginia in a bad light. We're showing this real family that you guys want to ignore and never help, and give them shitty schooling, and then of course you start like saying like, oh, we make Cole seem like a bad guy. Cole lights up our cities or something, bullshit, and it's just like, oh, fuck you. So I mean, I'm sure John could talk to this more about like the West. Some people in West Virginia are just like super fucking sensitive, and we put people in the movie saying this movie does not represent West Virginia.
Yeah.
The whites are not West Virginia. We say that in the movie because we know it's not everyone in West Virginia, but everywhere in our fucking country there's that badass, population, whether it's in California, New York, any fucking state has that. And like to think like West Virginia doesn't have that, portion of its population. And part of it is because like West Virginians were like the ultimate rebels, They were the rebels against the rebels in the Civil War, They said, fuck you, the South, we're not seceding with Virginia. And we just want to be left alone so we can drink our moonshine and have a good time. We're not into slavery and we're not into fighting. So,
John, did you have anything to say?
Oh no, I mean, you showed both parts of it, so I think you had the one mayor or whatever he was. I forget what the dude's name was, but he was pretty well spoken. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. I liked how he just said, he's like, well, you could be showing about this kid who just got accepted at MIT, and then I know you guys on the commentary are like, yeah, but that's not very interesting.
Yeah. Look, there's a guy going home and doing his homework. Or now he's doing his evening prayers. He's helping his mom with his dishes. Wow, that's fascinating,
Well, I bet that guy
could be wonderful, though. Maybe that one guy would have been so ticked.
You would have pleased that guy in Memphis.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's wonderful. Look how he's helping his mom do the laundry now.
Were you involved in Jesco Goes to Hollywood?
Fuck no. I think that's an embarrassment. So I was involved in Dancing Outlaw. Then I moved then I moved to Louisville and to California. I was out in California by then, and And, you know, God bless Jacob Young, but it just misses, it feels phony to me. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
It felt phony.
What?
I mean, like the very beginning. I mean, that you could tell that was all staged. I mean, and then he comes off the plane, and then they're all going crazy over. That was.
Yeah, that's all his family members. If you look carefully, you can see Sue, Bob, and Kirk there. I'm like, that's not a documentary, man. That's like, I mean, that's like you trying to do a bad reality show.
Mm.
And here's what pisses me off about that, if I may. The real story is so much more interesting, which is Jesco went to Hollywood, right?
Mm-hmm.
He gets on this TV show, and he comes back to town, theoretically, you know, having triumphed. And what happens in West Virginia, people get pissed at him, and someone burnt down his cabin.
Wow.
And, you know, all his shit got burnt down because that's what happens is with some people, like they're like, ooh, you're getting uppity. We're going to burn down your cabin and show you think you're a big Hollywood star. And so him going to Hollywood actually, for a while, caused him a lot more trouble where people slowly started fucking with him because of it. So, which is, to me, the interesting story that, like, you know, in certain parts of our country, if you try and, you know, make it or better yourself, you know, people get mad. Like, it's kind of like, you know, one of my friends from Kentucky, she decided to go to college, and it was the first one in her family to go to college, and her dad just went to her, like, why are you doing this? And she's like, I thought you'd like it if I went to college. And he's like, you think you're better than us? Is that what it is? And there's that, like, element in society, and when Jesco went to Hollywood, that's what happened to him. So, so that's what's weird is it didn't get so complicated. Real story.
I did enjoy the
what did you
scenes
guys think of it?
when he was on the Roseanne set. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, but that was like the beginning of the story. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then after doing that, he had to go back to West Virginia and deal with, you know, all the bullshit there.
The part that I thought was interesting in it was just like how Roseanne got mad because he had the swastikas on his hand, and he kind of explained like he just thought they were German symbols, and I think Tom Arnold had him he got him covered up. Did you ever see any of that kind of side to any of the whites, or do you think it was just he got those tattooed on him and wasn't necessarily something he like was into?
I never saw any anti-Semitism from the whites. I don't think they even really, as someone who's Jewish, they didn't even have the concept of Judaism in their book, like, you know, like, because there are no Jews, you know, that they ever deal with in West Virginia. So at one point, someone kind of figured out that I was Jewish, and they were just like, like, it was like they met an alien or something. Like, it freaked them out, you know.
It's like boring,
so,
you know. Someone who's on the movie started telling me how she went on this trip and met a bunch of Jews and how they all really stick together and they're all like, you know, they're really, and wait, they kind of look like you. Are you one? And I was like, yeah. And then she goes, well, they're really smart too and hardworking, and so you know, I was just like, yep, whatever. So
yeah, I actually enjoyed it, but I didn't see what you're saying because you watch it in the beginning, even when he's like, I'm off to Hollywood, and he's like walking down the dirt road,
like he's gonna walk all the way there.
Yeah, I probably liked it for all the wrong reasons, but I enjoyed it, but it's definitely not like you said, it's not a documentary.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I don't know what Jacob was thinking by that point. So, anyway.
Are you from West Virginia?
No, I'm from the Bronx, man. But I moved after college. I moved to eastern Kentucky, to Appalachia, and then I ended up living in West Virginia after that. So I lived in West Virginia for
a good bit, and then I moved back to Kentucky, and then I just couldn't make any money, so I moved to California. So, but I love West Virginia. Like, I mean, people in West Virginia are just awesome. I mean, my best friend in college, his family was from West Virginia, so I started going to West Virginia in college with him, to hang out with his family in Beckley, and they, you know, like I was used to the most sarcastic, mean, you know, fuckers ever. Like I was, you know, hanging out with skinheads who wanted to beat me up, and you know, and we're like pretending to be Republicans to get in, you know, fights with people. But I'd get to West Virginia, and the people there were like 14 times as sarcastic and mean as anyone I'd ever met in New York. They just like started fucking with me immediately, and usually, and I loved it, but like usually when you meet someone, there's a lag time where they first kind of get to know you and are nice to you before they start fucking with you. and in West Virginia, they just start fucking, you know, whacking you off the side of the head and laughing at it immediately. And I couldn't, like, you know, I couldn't even, like, parry with these people because they were so funny and they were just, like, doing it so quickly. And I was just like, man, okay, I love West Virginia. That was, like, when I first fell in love with West Virginia. So,
well, how did you meet Hank 3?
Hank 3, we just, you know, went through, you know, Hank 3 had written that song about Jesco because he was a Dancing Outlaw fan. Mm-hmm. So he'd written the song The Legend of D. Roy White a bunch of years ago. And then we just, you know, so he'd met Jesco a bunch of times. And then, but we, you know, we went through the formal route of going through his managers to tracking Mr. Hank 3 down. So
yeah,
he's hard to track down. Trust me, too. So
his music added so much to the documentary.
He what?
His music, I thought, added so much to your movie.
Oh yeah, no, it's genius. I mean, his music is genius. It's the soundtrack of the White's life. You know. I mean, I don't know if you know, there's a song we didn't use it in the movie called "Must Have Been the Pills I Took," and I've been in, you know, cars with white family members, and it's a song about how snorting, you know, doing pills fucks up your life, and they like are totally blasting that in, you know, a minivan snorting pills and stuff. So it is the soundtrack to their lives. So.
And definitely everyone should pick up the DVD. There's a lot of extras on there too, and there's an extended interview with Hank 3 on there. That's pretty awesome.
Did you like that one?
Oh yeah.
I love that he has that big pharmacy sign in his house. So, like, you know.
Some of his CDs, but I mean that's actually the first time I ever heard of him, and after that, I went and seeked out some of his music because I thought he was awesome in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's you know, the real deal, and real, you know, if only the rest of country music sounded, you know, 1/3 as good as he did, country music would still be a force for good in this world instead of a force for crap. So.
Not a big Taylor Swift fan, are you?
You know, there's girls who should be seen naked, girls who should be singing, and I think she's a performer. So.
No, what was it like when you found out Johnny Knoxville was like a big fan of Dancing Outlaw?
It was weird. That's how the whole thing happened. Is just what happens is Johnny Knoxville, when he gets into something, gets really obsessed with it, and he was obsessed with my documentary about Hazel Atkins, actually, and Dancing Outlaw, but Hazel Atkins more, and so he was showing it at some party, and some mutual friend said, "Hey, I know Julien if you want to meet him," and so that's how it all happened. And I went out. He called me up, and we went out to lunch and bonded over our love of David Allan Coe, and then next thing, he actually ended up coming. At that point, I'd written and directed this musical called The Beastly Bombing, which, is about these two Al-Qaeda terrorists who've come to New York to blow up the Brooklyn Bridge. who meet at the two white supremacists who've shown up at the same time with the same plan, and they bond in song over their mutual hatred of Jews, and sing a lot of happy songs about hating Jews, and he ended up coming to see that and became obsessed with that and started coming every week, buying 20 tickets and bringing Spike Jonze and everybody, and that's when we started talking about like let's do something together. So
that's how the three of us got together. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Trying to blow up a bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
Did you always know that?
That bridge, was it that bridge from Charleston over the one that they have to paint every week on the way up Charleston? Do you know that bridge?
Oh, on 64? Because I'm coming from the 64
Yeah, it's on 64,
side.
Yeah.
Right as soon as you passed, I'm drawing blank. St. Albans.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's this bridge. If you guys don't know, it's this bridge that, because of the pollution, basically the paint is
From
peeling
nitro?
off of one. Yeah, the paint is peeling off of one side of the bridge, so they have to constantly be painting it. As soon as they get to the other side of the bridge or are done painting, the paint on the other side is sort of peeling again from all the pollution, and they have to just go back and start painting it, and they never can finish painting this bridge.
I've never heard that before.
You've never heard that?
That's pretty awesome, though. I'm glad I'm in
They've got
Huntington.
in West Virginia, just to give you a sense of how fucked things are, they had the same Union Carbide battery plant in West Virginia that in Bhopal, India, killed like thousands of people. And they're like, well, killed a few thousand people in India. We'll use the same one in West Virginia. I'm sure it'll be fine there. So,
I don't think you're making a fan out of John here.
John, you know that, right?
It's a car plant, or what are you saying?
Union Carbide.
Oh.
The battery people.
Oh, okay. I didn't know anything about that, but
I mean, it might be shut down by now, but when I lived in West Virginia, they had the identical plant to the one that just killed thousands of people in India, and no one was like, you know what, we should not have this plant here, you know.
I don't know if it's still open or not. I have no clue, to be honest.
Do you have any favorite Jesco White lines?
Jesco White lines? I don't know, you're setting me up for something with the white lines part.
I thought that when I was saying it, but that's not how I meant it.
Yeah, because I definitely had some Jesco White lines at one point. No, I mean, everything the man says is poetry. I mean, that's what's great about him, is he really is kind of like this poet from like Elizabethan times, because he, talked like people in Shakespeare's time did. So, I mean, you just listen to him. And sometimes what's great about taping it, or filming it, is you don't even realize, how great something he's saying until you, like, listen to it later, because you're just like, wow, that is really deep. So
I know the first time I heard the slimy eggs bit, I could understand what he meant, because my dad used to fry eggs and just like the bacon grease after he got done frying bacon. I thought, man, I wish my dad would fry these slimy eggs. So I understood it.
That's how my grandma.
Well, I think he was also talking about that she didn't cook them hard enough, because the whites like their food real cooked. So, like, we took Mamie out to this steak and like prime rib place in L.A. called Billingsley's, and it was owned by Barbara Billingsley from Leave It to Beaver's son, and she ordered her prime rib well done, and the lady brought her prime rib, and it was pink. And Mamie just looked at it, and seriously, this is a pretty nice restaurant. And she goes, I told you, I want it well done. This is pink like a woman's pussy. Bring it back. And we were like, so.
Well, not the second part there, but that sounds exactly like my mom. She always orders steak extra well done.
Oh, really? Yeah. They want to know it's dead.
No, Something you mentioned to me actually in an email was that you wrote a EC Comics story for HBO that never got made. But just what was the story with that?
It was a musical version of the Mad magazine and EC Comics story. So it was kind of the whole story from when oh fuck, my brain just went blank right now. What's the publisher of EC? Why am I losing it right now?
Troy probably knows this one.
Bill Gaines.
Bill Gaines, yeah. It was. I actually met Bill Gaines when I was 12. I went to the Mad magazine offices.
Oh, that's cool. I'm jealous now.
It was so cool. Bill Gaines was so cool, and but basically it's a story from starting with when Bill Gaines' dad ran EC originally, and it was called Educational Comics. And
did you know that his dad was actually the first person to publish any comic book?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which
and
was
he gave away
neat.
Superman.
Yep.
He was just like, this Superman thing's not going anywhere.
Whoops.
And so he didn't want to publish Superman. When Bill Gaines worked for his dad, the real story was everyone in the comic book at that company thought Bill Gaines was a moron and treated him like, the retarded son of the owner. And his dad was a total asshole to Bill Gaines. And he totally there's a book called The Mad World of William Gaines or Bill Gaines. It's written his dad was a total dick to him. And then basically his dad got killed in a boat accident, and Bill Gaines suddenly was in charge of Educational Comics, and a lot of the Tales from the Crypt stuff came from Bill Gaines. He had nightmares of his dad rising out of the grave and attacking him and stuff. And
that was always that ongoing so many of the stories were like that.
Yeah. Well, he was also doing a ton of speed back in the 50s too. I don't know if you know that. Bill Gaines was a big speed freak because he was taking diet pills to stay skinny back then, which he loved his diet pills and took a ton of them, just like Johnny Cash and Jack Kerouac and everyone else. Right. And so basically he started changing. He had talked to his dad about why don't we do stuff like Ray Bradbury and cool horror, and his dad was like, get out of here, we're doing more picture stories from the Bible. and then when his dad died, he started doing this stuff, and all the old guard, they're told him he's an idiot, and eventually started firing them and bringing in, Kurtzman and, Elder and everyone else, and started doing what he liked to do when he was high on his meth or whatever it was, or Benzedrines, and what made him laugh. And it, of course, was the greatest comic book company. And then the government came down on him. You guys know that stuff, right?
Seduction of the innocent thing, yeah.
Yeah. So it was about that, basically how, fucking awful politicians, when they want to get elected, attack entertainment. So it was kind of just like Tipper Gore and the PMRC or any of that stuff. So
they just put out it's called The Horror, and it's it's a real big thick comic book. What do we call it? It has a graphic novel. There you go. And it's got a bonus DVD on it. It's the actual TV kind of documentary thing from the 50s when the guy was telling you all how bad the comics were for your kids, and
that it was going to turn them all into zombies, and they chop up their parents with
an
axe.
But it's pretty awesome. Just the whole thing is good because it doesn't just have the EC Comics, because they said they're kind of, you can get those anywhere. It's got some of the lesser known ones, so it's got the original covers, and it's really cool. But then that extra DVD, watching that documentary, it's worth buying just for that. So
well, you know what else? If you ever want to read the most fucked up book ever, Frederick Wertham, who wrote Seduction of the Innocent, basically this crazed German psychiatrist who led this attack on comic books. He wrote a book before that, and I'm trying to see if I can find the name now, but he was a psychiatrist who dealt with all these famous mass murderers and stuff, and it is great. Like, I mean, it's what's it called? Trying to remember what. No, it's not Seduction of the Innocent. Forget what it's called, but it's so creepy, and like, because he was the psychiatrist for all these mass murderers. It tells like the story. There's one guy who would like put needles into his peridium, his squamous, all the time, and then kept trying to put rubber wanted to get rid of his penis and would put rubber bands on it, hoping it would cut off the circulation and he'd get gangrene. And it's just like, I remember, reading this and being like, this is the most way more gruesome than anything in the DC comic.
Oh yeah.
And it's something violent. I can't find the name of it right now, but I found an old 50s paperback, and it's mind-blowingly good. So, if you like to read true crime, so, and yeah, I forgot what the other guy, a famous guy who like murdered all these children and stuff. So, anyway, he was a bad man in this case, but in other cases he wrote a really great book. So,
I'll say I never knew that.
So you said the one you wrote, was it going to be a musical version of all this?
Yeah, it was a musical version of the EC comic story. So, we actually, the lyrics were, I did the lyrics with Frank, what's his name now? He actually wrote all the song parodies for Mad Magazine. So,
oh, wow.
Frank Jacobs. So Frank Jacobs was involved because it was based on his book, which was The Mad World of William M. Gaines. So yeah.
Did you ever think about writing a comic book yourself?
I'm thinking about it right now, actually. So I, as a kid, I wrote a lot of comic books, but yeah, I haven't done it, since then. So.
Yeah. Right now, we just gave you the idea, or you've been thinking about it?
No, I recently wrote something for HBO, and now another thing for HBO they're not making, and I was thinking that would be a great comic book. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
So let everybody know the website's wildandwonderfulwhites.com, but you can get the DVD anywhere. And not just
the easiest place to get it is on Amazon, and it's on Showtime right now.
Yeah, I believe it's on Netflix. And it's
on Netflix on demand streaming, but you should get the DVD because of all the bonus features.
Yeah, actually that's where I first watched it, was on Netflix, and I was just saying this because we're having you on here, but I just fell in love with the movie, and so then I went and bought the DVD so I could watch all the extras, and I probably
you blew Neil's mind with this one.
I was telling both these guys, you got to see this movie. It's awesome. I told my mom, my uncle, everybody. I've probably seen it 3 or 4
Well, it is a family movie.
It's the kind of movie that our family likes. And then it made me seek out the Dancing Outlaw and the Jesco Goes to Hollywood, which you're not a big fan of, but
he had nothing to do with.
I get a kick out of it. So, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has.
Well, thank you guys so much. I'm honored that I could be on your show. So
cool. And maybe if after the HBO thing comes out, maybe we'll have you back on.
Well, let's hope.
All right.
So.
This is Tom Tolles. You're listening to WithoutYourHead.com. And you're doing it without your head. Think about it. Oh, wait, you can't. You don't have a head.